morning was quiet, the kind of silence that only comes before the sun has fully risen. A thin fog lay across the ground, wrapping the village fields in a blanket of silver. Birds were only starting to sing, their voices soft, as if they too were waiting for something to happen. A young boy, the son of a farmer, woke earlier than usual that day. He had a habit of sneaking out before his father called him for work. He liked the world in those hours. Everything seemed mysterious, like the earth was whispering secrets only for him. He stretched, pulled on his worn boots, and stepped outside quietly, careful not to wake anyone. That was when he saw it. At first he thought it was just a dog or a wild animal that had wandered into the fields. But when the mist shifted and the shape became clearer, his breath caught in his throat, the creature stood still in the middle of the field, its body covered in strange patterns that shimmered faintly in the weak light of dawn. Its eyes glowed faint blue, like tiny lamps hidden in the sockets. It was no normal animal, not one he had ever seen in his life. The boy froze, half afraid, half curious. Every story he had heard from travelers spoke of alien beasts that sometimes crossed into human lands. Most were harmless, some were dangerous, and all were rare. And yet here it was, standing just a few feet away from his home. The creature moved slowly, almost gracefully, its long legs bent at unusual angles, its skin shifting colors as if trying to blend with the mist. When it lifted its head, the boy felt for a moment as though the animal looked straight into his soul. Something deep inside him told him this was not just a random encounter. It felt almost deliberate. He crouched low, hiding behind a stack of firewood, watching carefully. The animal sniffed the air, then turned and walked toward the forest. For a few seconds, the boy hesitated. He knew he should run back inside, wake his father, warn the others, but his heart was pounding with a different kind of energy, curiosity. It pulled him forward like an invisible hand. Quietly, carefully, he followed. The damp earth carried the sound of his footsteps, but the animal didn't turn back. It moved as if it wanted him to come along. Every time it stopped, it looked around, then continued, and every time it paused, the boy caught up a little closer. He began to feel as if the animal was guiding him somewhere. The deeper they went, the stranger the forest became. The trees seemed older, their trunks twisted in unnatural ways. Vines glowed faintly with a green light, as if carrying liquid fire through their veins. He brushed his hand against one, and it pulsed like a heartbeat. The boy shivered, but pressed on. Minutes turned into an hour. Though he could not tell exactly, the world of the village felt far behind. Almost like another life, the mist grew thicker, and the sound of birds faded until all he could hear was his own breathing. Then, through the fog, he saw the animal stop. It raised its head and let out a low sound, not a growl, not a cry, something in between. The sound echoed strangely, bouncing back from the trees as if the forest itself was alive. The boy crouched, his eyes wide. He thought of running, but his feet refused to move. Instead, he waited. The animal lowered itself, almost like a bow, and for a brief moment, he felt like it was showing respect not to him, but to something. Ahead, the boy followed its gaze. At first, he saw only the fog. Then slowly, like a curtain lifting, a hidden path revealed itself, glowing faintly on the ground. It wasn't made by footsteps, nor by wheels. This was something else entirely. The boy's breath quickened. He had never seen anything like this before. The path pulsed softly, leading deeper into the unknown. The animal took the first step, waiting only long enough to see if he would follow. His body shook with fear, but something stronger inside him urged him on. He took a deep breath, then stepped onto the glowing path. The air grew colder. The fog pressed against his skin like cold fingers. Every sound felt louder now, the snap of twigs, the crunch of leaves, the beating of his own heart. Yet the creature moved with ease, never hesitating. It seemed to know this place well. The boy felt smaller with each step, as though he had crossed into a world that wasn't his own. Suddenly he stumbled. His boot caught on something buried in the earth. He looked down, brushing away dirt beneath his fingers. He felt stone, not just stone, but carved stone, lines, shapes, and symbols, lay hidden under the soil, glowing. Faintly, just like the path, he froze, realizing he had uncovered something ancient, something that had been sleeping for a very long time. The creature stopped and turned back. For the first time, the boy saw emotion in its glowing eyes. It wasn't anger. It wasn't fear. It was something like recognition, as if the beast had been waiting for him, waiting for a human child to find this place.
Oh.
The boy stood slowly, his heart racing faster than ever. He glanced back toward the direction of his home, but the mist had swallowed it completely. There was no way back now. Not without first learning what lay ahead, the creature let out another low sound, softer this time, almost gentle. It waited for him, patient and calm. The boy realized this. It was no accident. He was meant to be here. He swallowed hard, tightened his fists, and followed the creature deeper into the unknown. And with every step, he knew one thing with absolute certainty. Whatever waited at the end of this hidden path would change everything. Not just for him, but for the entire world. The first step onto the glowing trail felt different from any ground the boy had walked before. It was not soil, not stone, not grass. It felt alive beneath his boots, pulsing faintly like a quiet heartbeat. He froze for a moment, lifting his foot, watching the light ripple outward as though the path itself had woken up. A chill ran down his spine, but he pressed forward. Following the strange animal that moved ahead with quiet certainty, the forest no longer looked like the one he knew. The trees stood taller, their branches curling like frozen flames. Thick vines hung down, glowing softly as if filled with liquid stars. The air smelled sharp, metallic, like rain on iron. He reached out once, brushing his fingers along a vine. It shivered at his touch, and he quickly pulled back, heart pounding. The creature glanced at him over its shoulder, its glowing eyes steady. The boy felt strangely safe under that gaze, as though the animal was not leading him into danger, but into some kind of hidden truth. Still, his steps were cautious, his breath shallow, every sound amplified in the heavy fog. After a while, he noticed the forest itself had gone silent. No birds sang, no insects buzzed. Even the wind seemed to avoid this place. Only the soft thud of his footsteps and the faint hum of the glowing path filled the silence. It was as if the world had stopped to watch him walk deeper into mystery. Then, he saw them, markings carved into the trees, not scratches from claws or random breaks, but deliberate shapes, circles, lines, spirals. Glowing faint blue against the bark, he paused, touching one, and it warmed under his palm. The symbols were not just carvings, they were alive. He felt a pulse through his skin, as if the tree itself was whispering something in a language he could not understand. The boy shivered and pulled his hand back. The creature gave a low hum, its throat vibrating. It looked at him, then at the symbols, almost as if it wanted him to understand something important. But before he could think more, the path twisted sharply, leading to a tunnel formed by thick roots and hanging vines. The entrance looked like the open mouth of a beast, dark and endless. The boy's chest tightened. Every instinct told him to turn back. But the animal walked forward without fear, disappearing into the shadows. He hesitated only a moment longer before stepping in. Inside, the air was heavy and damp. Drops of water slid down roots like tears. The walls glowed faintly, showing more symbols. He ran his fingers across one as he walked. The grooves deep, carved long ago by hands human or alien. He could not tell. His imagination raced. Who had made these? Why had they hidden them? The tunnel grew narrower, forcing him to crouch. His back brushed against the roots above, sending a shower of dirt down his neck. Claustrophobia gnawed at him, but he bit his lip and kept going. His only light was the glowing lines beneath his feet, guiding him step by step. After what felt like forever, the tunnel widened. He stood up straight, eyes widening at what lay ahead. The ceiling rose high above, covered in crystals that reflected the light of the path. It was a chamber, vast and silent, as if untouched for centuries. In the center stood a tall stone structure, half buried in the earth, It looked like an altar, its surface etched with the same glowing symbols. The creature walked to the altar and sat beside it, bowing its head. Its body language was calm, almost reverent. The boy approached slowly, his heart hammering in his chest. When he placed his hand on the altar, the ground trembled faintly. A line of light spread across the stone, moving like veins, until the entire altar glowed brightly. The boy stumbled back, eyes wide, the chamber filled with a deep hum, vibrating through the walls. Dust fell from the ceiling. Crystals shivered. Then faintly, words echoed not from the creature. Not from any living being, but from the stone itself. He could not understand the language, but the sound was ancient, powerful. It wrapped around him, pulling him closer. Instead of pushing him away, the creature raised its head and looked at him. The first time, he realized it was not guiding him randomly. It had brought him here for a reason. It wanted him to be the one to awaken this place. His knees trembled as he placed both hands on the altar again. The glowing spread farther this time, racing across the floor. Lighting up lines that stretched into the walls, the chamber was alive. The entire place a hidden machine waiting for a single spark. And he had just given it that spark. The boy gasped as visions flashed before his eyes. He saw stars, planets, ships made of light. He saw humans standing beside tall alien figures, working together, laughing together. Then he saw fire, war, and silence. The images faded as quickly as they came. Leaving him dizzy, he stumbled, breathing hard, gripping the altar for balance. The creature let out a soft sound, steadying him. With its presence, the boy's mind spun. But one thought burned clear through the haze. This place had been waiting for someone like him. Not his father, not the elders, not the warriors, him, a simple farmer's son. It made no sense, and yet it felt right. He looked at the glowing walls, the shining altar, the creature that never left his side, and deep inside, he knew his life had just split into two paths. One was the simple boy who returned home and said nothing. The other was the boy who followed the creature deeper, who uncovered secrets buried for ages, who carried a destiny larger than himself. His fists tightened, his chest heavy with fear and excitement. He looked at the animal, which gazed back at him with those glowing eyes full of unspoken trust. And in that silence he made his choice. He would not turn back. He would follow this hidden path to wherever it led, even if it meant stepping into danger, even if it meant changing everything he had ever known. The boy took a deep breath, steadying himself. He stepped away from the altar and nodded at the creature. The path ahead was glowing brighter now, leading out of the chamber into yet another passage. Without another thought, he followed, and the hidden path swallowed him whole, carrying him toward a truth waiting in the dark. The ground stopped glowing, for the first time since he had stepped onto this strange path. The light faded away, leaving only the faint shimmer of crystals above. Darkness pressed close, heavy and suffocating. The boy's heart raced, his ears straining for any sound, footsteps, whispers. Even the soft hum of the forest, but there was nothing, only silence so deep it felt alive. He reached out blindly, his hands brushing rough stone walls. The creature's faint blue eyes glowed. Short distance ahead, to floating lanterns in the dark, it gave a soft growl, not of warning, but of encouragement. As if telling him to keep moving, he swallowed hard and followed, each step uncertain. Then, without warning, the ground beneath him shifted. A low rumble shook the chamber, the dust falling from the ceiling like rain. The floor gave way, and before he could scream, he was sliding downward, pulled into the depths of the earth. The creature leaped after him, its glowing body streaking through the dark like a comet. The fall seemed endless, the tunnel twisting, pulling him deeper and deeper. His hands scraped against stone, his breath tearing from his throat at last. With a heavy thud, he tumbled onto solid ground, coughing in the dust. The creature landed beside him with surprising grace, shaking itself once before lowering its head to check if he was alive. The boy groaned, wincing at the bruises. But his eyes widened as he looked around. The darkness was gone. Instead, a faint golden glow filled the cavern, not from the ceiling or walls, but from the city spread out before him. His mouth fell open. It was not ruins. not a pile of broken stone. This was a world buried beneath the ground. Towers rose like silent guardians, bridges stretched across vast chasms. Streets wound between structures shaped from stone and metal alike, though dust covered them. Though time had left its scars, the city still glowed faintly as though it refused to die. The boy stumbled forward, his boots crunching against cracked tiles. The creature padded quietly beside him, its eyes glowing brighter in the golden haze. He whispered without meaning to, "This is impossible." The sound of his own voice echoed strangely, bouncing across the forgotten streets. Every corner seemed to hide a story. Every broken wall whispered of lives once lived. He touched a wall, his fingers tracing the smooth surface, symbols lined it, far more detailed than the ones in the forest. Some were glowing faint blue, others faint red, forming patterns like maps. As his hand moved across them, the wall responded, lights flickered. A soft hum returned to life. He stumbled back, gasping, as the entire street lit up in a chain reaction. One structure after another glowing faintly as though the city itself had awakened. The creature stood taller now, its body tense but proud. It let out a low call that echoed through the air, from somewhere deep in the city. A sound answered. The boy froze, his blood turning cold. He was not alone here. He turned, scanning the streets. Shadows shifted in the golden mist, shapes moving too quickly for his eyes to follow. Were they alive? Machines? Spirits? He could not tell. But the city was no longer silent. It was breathing, waking. Aware of him, the boy's legs trembled. But something inside pushed him to move forward. Every step deeper into the lost city filled him with awe. In fear, he crossed a bridge that arched over a black abyss. The glow of the path reflecting faintly off unseen depths. He could not hear water, could not see the bottom, only darkness stretching forever. The creature walked steadily across, unbothered. Its glowing paws guiding him like beacons. On the far side, a massive gate rose before him. It was carved from stone, taller than any human building he had seen. In its center was a circle of symbols, glowing faintly in shifting colors. He felt drawn to it, his hand lifting without his control. When his palm touched the circle, the gate shuddered and began to open. The ground trembled, dust rained down, and a deep, hollow voice filled the air. It was not words he understood, but it spoke directly to his chest. It felt like being judged, weighed, measured. The creature lowered itself beside him, bowing as if in respect to whatever spoke from beyond. The boy's throat tightened, but he did not move away. The gate finished opening with a final echoing crack. Beyond lay a vast chamber. In the center stood a giant statue carved from black stone, its eyes glowing faint gold. It was not human, not alien. It was something between. The boy's breath caught as he realized its features carried hints of both races. A shared face, a reminder of connection long forgotten. He walked slowly into the chamber, every step echoing like thunder. At the base of the statue lay an object, a small orb. Glowing faint blue, it pulsed faintly in rhythm with his heartbeat. His hand shook as he reached for it. The moment his fingers touched the orb, warmth flooded through him. Vision struck. Again clearer this time, he saw the city alive, filled with beings of many shapes. Humans walking alongside aliens, trading, laughing, sharing meals. He saw children playing under glowing lanterns. Then he saw fire, warships raining destruction. The city collapsing, buried beneath the earth to keep its secrets safe. And finally, he saw the creature, the same glowing beast that stood beside him now, bowing to ancient leaders, accepting a mission to protect this place until the right human returned. The vision ended, leaving him gasping. Clutching the orb to his chest, the creature looked at him with glowing eyes filled with certainty. It had led him here not by chance but by destiny. The city had chosen him. He was no longer just a boy. He was the key to awakening the bond between humans and the beings that once walked this hidden world. The boy's legs trembled, but he stood taller. His heart pounded, not with fear, but with something else, responsibility. He glanced back at the dark streets, the shadows still moving. He was not alone, and he knew soon he would face what remained of those who called this city home. But one truth burned brighter than everything else. He had found the lost world beneath, and nothing would ever be the same again. The orb pulsed in the boy's hands like a living heart. Each beat sent a ripple of light across the chamber, climbing the walls, racing toward the massive statue above. The golden eyes of the stone giant flickered, then blazed bright, flooding the chamber with light so strong the boy had to shield his face. When the glow settled, he realized something had changed. The creature was no longer just standing quietly beside him. Its body was trembling, its skin patterns glowing brighter than ever before. It let out a low sound, half growl, half chant, as though some hidden part of it had been unlocked. The boy stared, his heart pounding. For the first time he saw not just an animal, but something far more complex, something that had carried a secret across centuries. The ground rumbled and the statue's mouth opened with a deep crack. From within came not stone, but a voice mechanical, yet alive, echoing with memory. It spoke in the same language as before. But this time the orb in the boy's hands translated the meaning directly into his mind. The guardian accepts you. The bond has awakened. The truth must be carried. The boy's eyes widened as he turned toward the glowing beast guardian. He whispered. The creature's glowing eyes met his. And for the first time, the boy felt thoughts that weren't his own, pressing gently into his mind. Not words, not full sentences, but feelings, loyalty, patience. Centuries of waiting, it had not just found him by chance. It had been looking for him, testing him, guiding him. He stumbled back, overwhelmed. The orb's glow softened, but he could still feel the connection. His mind filled with flashes of the creature's past. It was not born in the forest, not born as a simple animal. It had been created part flesh, part machine, a living sentinel designed to watch over the hidden city. Generations of humans had lived and died above the surface, forgetting the alliance that once bound them to this place, but the guardian had never forgotten. The boy pressed his back against the stone wall. Breathing hard, it was too much. He was just a farmer's son. He was not supposed to carry secrets older than his world, and yet here he was. Chosen by a creature that had survived ages, chosen by a city that still breathed beneath the ground. Guardian stepped closer, lowering its head. Its glowing eyes softened, and the boy felt calm seep into his bones. The connection between them deepened, not of fear, but of trust. He realized something shocking. The guardian was not meant to protect the city alone. It was meant to find someone worthy to awaken it again. And now it had found him. The orb pulsed, and the voice of the statue returned, louder this time. Adieu! The guardian holds the final memory. Unlock it, and you will see the truth. The boy frowned, confusion twisting inside him. He looked at the creature, and as though understanding the command, the guardian bent its head lower, exposing its chest. For the first time, the boy noticed a mark on its skin, metallic lines forming a sealed plate. Glowing faintly beneath the fur, his breath caught. This was not just an animal. This was a vessel of secrets. The orb in his hand grew warm, guiding his fingers toward the glowing plate. His hand trembled as he reached out. The moment his skin touched the metal, the plate shifted, unfolding like petals of a flower. Inside, hidden beneath layers of flesh and machine, was a crystal glowing bright, pulsing like a second heart. The boy gasped as it projected light into the chamber, forming images in the air. He saw humans and aliens standing together in council halls, building ships, sharing knowledge. He saw the guardian itself being created, shaped by both human hands and alien technology. It was designed to carry not only strength, but memory, to keep the truth safe when war erased it from history. Then the images darkened, showing the fall, flames devouring cities, ships burning in the skies, humans and aliens turning on each other. The last leaders, both human and alien, stood together in desperation. They whispered their final command to the guardian: wait. Protect, choose. The vision ended, leaving the boy trembling, tears stinging his eyes. The guardian's glowing chest closed again, sealing the crystal within. The boy sank to his knees, overwhelmed by the weight of what he had just seen. The truth was terrifying humans. And aliens had not always been enemies. They had once been allies, partners in a dream that had been destroyed by war and fear. And now, buried beneath his feet, was the last trace of that bond. The boy looked up at the guardian, his voice shaking. "Why me? I'm no leader. I'm just a boy." The creature bowed its head lower, pressing its forehead against his shoulder. And in that moment, he understood. It had not chosen him because he was strong or wise or powerful. It had chosen him because he was willing to follow without greed. Without hunger for power, he was pure, and that purity was enough. The statue's voice spoke one final time, deep and commanding. "The guardian has revealed its secret. Now you must guard it in turn. The world above has forgotten. The world below remembers. You are the bridge." The boy's chest tightened as the orb dimmed in his hands, its energy flowing into him. The connection between him and the guardian was no longer fragile. It was complete, like two halves of the same soul. He could feel its heartbeat echo in his chest. He could sense its thoughts, memories of battles, centuries of silence, endless waiting. He was no longer alone, but as the glow faded and silence returned to the chamber, he realized the weight of what had just begun. The world above did not know this secret. And if others discovered it, humans or aliens, they might fight to claim the power buried here. His heart pounded with fear, but also with resolve. The guardian had trusted him with its secret, and now he would carry it, no matter the cost. The boy stood, the orb gone, the bond sealed. Beside him, the guardian rose tall, its glowing eyes steady. Together, they stepped back toward the gate of the chamber. But as they turned, the boy froze. The shadows in the golden mist had grown clear shapes moving. Watching, waiting, they were not alone, and whatever was waiting in the lost world beneath had just heard the secret awaken. The silence shattered from the mist between the broken towers. Sound echoed, sharp, metallic, unlike anything the boy had ever heard before. It wasn't the groan of old stone or the hum of ancient machines. It was deliberate, controlled. The sound of footsteps marching in rhythm. The boy froze, his hand tightening against the guardian's glowing fur. They were no longer alone. Shapes emerged from the golden haze. First shadows, then figures, tall, armored beings with glowing helmets and strange weapons strapped across their backs. Their movements were too precise, too disciplined to be wild creatures. These were soldiers, explorers, strangers. The boy's breath caught as the nearest one raised a hand, signaling the rest to stop. The glowing visor of the leader turned directly toward him. The guardian lowered itself, fur bristling, eyes blazing brighter. A growl rumbled from its chest, deep and dangerous. The boy's heart pounded. He could feel the creature's tension through their bond. These strangers were not part of the city, not part of its memory. They had come from outside. Drawn by the awakening light, the leader stepped forward, his voice echoing from within the helmet, distorted but clear enough to understand. "You, human child. How did you open this place?" The boy's lips trembled, his voice caught in his throat. He wanted to speak, to explain, but fear crushed his words. Instead, the guardian stepped between him and the strangers, lowering its head. The boy felt its warning echo in his mind. "Stay back," another soldier laughed, his voice sharper, mocking. "A child did this? Impossible. That orb should not even respond to him." The leader raised a hand to silence him, then took another step forward. "You are not ordinary. You carry something, the city's power." His helmet tilted slightly, studying the guardian and the beast. "It is bonded with you." The boy swallowed hard. He realized in that moment that whatever secret he carried was no longer safe. The strangers had seen too much, and their hungry voices told him what they wanted: control. The guardian let out a loud growl. The crystals on its body glowing brighter than ever. The soldiers immediately raised their weapons, long rods that crackled with blue energy. The air buzzed with static. The boy's breath came in gasps as tension pulled the chamber tight like a bowstring. "Ready to snap? Wait." The boy finally shouted, his voice echoing in the cavern. "I didn't steal anything! The city, it chose me!" The words tumbled out of him, desperate but true. The strangers paused, exchanging uneasy glances behind their glowing helmets. One soldier muttered, "Chosen. By what?" Another hissed, "He lies. He is just a child." But the leader's visor remained locked on the boy. "Show me," he commanded, his voice like stone. "Show me what the city gave you." The boy's chest tightened. He could still feel the orb's warmth lingering inside him, its energy now part of his very heartbeat, but he shook his head fiercely. "It's not for you. It's not a weapon. It's a memory. A bond." The leader's voice hardened. "Then you are dangerous, and dangerous things cannot walk free." He raised his arm, and the soldiers tightened formation, weapons humming louder. The guardian snarled, its claws digging into the stone floor. The boy felt the creature's fury pulse into his chest. Loyal, protective, ready to fight. But he also felt its fear, not for itself, but for him. The strangers were not mere explorers. They were hunters, and now they were hunting him. The leader extended his hand toward the boy. "Come with us. Give us the secret, and we may spare you." The words slithered with false kindness. The boy clenched his fists, shaking his head again. "No, the city doesn't belong to you." A cold silence followed, broken only by the crackle of weapons. Then, without warning, one soldier fired, a blue bolt streaking through the air. The guardian leaped forward, taking the blast across its shoulder, snarling as sparks flew. The boy screamed, stumbling back, his heart lurching in pain as the bond echoed the creature's wound inside him. The cavern erupted into chaos. The soldiers spread out, firing in arcs of light. The guardian darted with impossible speed, glowing fur a streak of blue fire as it deflected strikes with its claws. The boy scrambled behind the fallen stones, ducking as blasts scorched the walls. Dust rained from above, the ancient city groaning. Under the sudden violence, through the chaos, the leader's voice thundered, "Capture him alive. The child is the key." The boy's chest heaved, his mind racing. He wasn't strong, he wasn't trained, but the city seemed to hum louder now. The walls glowed faintly where his hands pressed. The symbols beneath his fingers lit up like fire, responding to his panic, and then the ground shook from the cracks in the floor. Streams of light burst upward, forming barriers of glowing energy that shielded him from the incoming fire. The soldier staggered back, shouting in alarm. The guardian landed beside him, wounded but fierce, its eyes blazing with pride. The bond between them surged, stronger than ever. It wasn't just defending him anymore. The city itself was answering his call. The boy stood slowly, fear still in his heart, but something else burning brighter resolve. He faced the strangers, his voice trembling but filled with defiance. "You can't take this. It's not yours. This city remembers the truth, and I will protect it." The leader's visor gleamed as he raised his weapon again. "Then you have chosen death, child." The boy tightened his fists, the guardian growling at his side. The glowing walls pulsed like a heartbeat around them, and in that moment, he knew. The arrival of these strangers was not the end of his journey. It was the beginning of a war that would decide whether the world above learned the truth or destroyed it forever. The dust had not yet settled. The cavern still trembled from the battle, its ancient walls groaning as if the city itself disapproved of the violence inside. Broken crystals flickered weakly on the ground, their light pulsing like dying stars. The boy stood with his back pressed against the glowing barrier he had unknowingly awakened, his chest heaving, his heart beating in rhythm with the city. The guardian limped beside him, blood and sparks dripping from its wounded shoulder. But its glowing eyes burned with unyielding fire. The strangers had pulled back for the moment. Regrouping behind the cover of a half-collapsed archway, their weapons crackled faintly, ready to strike again. But none moved forward. Instead, their leader stepped out, visor gleaming gold in the faint light. He raised a hand, not to fire but to pause. His voice cut through the silence, calm but heavy with command. "Enough. More fighting will destroy this place. And none of us want that." The boy's fists tightened. He didn't trust the stranger, not after the attack, not after seeing the hunger in their eyes, but something in the leader's tone was different. Now not rage, but calculation. The man wanted something, and he was shifting his approach to get it. The leader lowered his weapon slowly and gestured to the boy. "You don't understand what you are holding, child. That city, that beast. They are not gifts. They are burdens. Heavy ones. Too heavy for someone like you." The boy's lips trembled. "I didn't ask for this," he whispered, "but it chose me." The leader tilted his head, visor gleaming. "Yes, and that is why you are in danger. Alone, you will be crushed. But with us, with our people, you could be safe, protected." His voice softened, almost kind. "Trust us. Give us the bond, and you will live." The boy's stomach twisted. The words sounded tempting, almost comforting. For a moment, he imagined it, handing over the secret, letting others carry the burden, returning to his father's fields as if nothing had happened. But the thought cracked as quickly as it came, because deep in his chest, he could feel the guardian's heartbeat echoing against his own. He wasn't alone anymore, and giving up the bond would mean betraying not just the city, but the creature that had trusted him. The guardian lowered its head, pressing its forehead gently against the boy's arm. Through their bond, he felt its thought clearly: do not trust them. It was not spoken in words, but in feeling heavy, certain, absolute. The boy swallowed hard, looking from the strangers to the guardian. His choice burned in front of him like fire. One path promised safety. The other danger. One meant surrender. The other meant loyalty. His legs trembled as he realized his answer would decide not only his fate, but perhaps the fate of everything the city had hidden. The silence stretched until the boy's voice finally broke it. Shaky, but firm, he said, "I don't trust you." The leader's visor glinted sharply as the kindness vanished from his voice. "Then you are a fool. And fools do not live long." The soldiers raised their weapons again, the cavern filling with the buzz of energy ready to fire. The boy's breath quickened, panic clawing at his chest, but before they could attack, the city responded. The ground pulsed beneath his feet, glowing lines racing outward like veins of fire. From the cracks in the floor, walls of light erupted. Separating him and the guardian from the strangers, the leader cursed, slamming his fist against the barrier. The golden glow reflected off his visor as he shouted, "This is not over. Others will come. When they do, not even the beast will protect you." His words echoed as he and his soldiers retreated into the mist, their footsteps fading into the distance. For a long moment, the boy stood frozen, his chest heaving, his hands trembling. Then the glow dimmed, and the cavern fell silent again. The boy collapsed to his knees, clutching his head. The choice still echoed inside him, louder than the leader's threats. He had chosen trust not in strangers, not in safety, but in the guardian, in the bond that tied them together. It was terrifying, but it felt right. The creature lowered itself beside him, licking the blood from its wound, its eyes soft as it looked at him. Through their bond, he felt a pulse of gratitude. The guardian trusted him too, but his relief was short-lived. The boy looked around the cavern, realizing something far more dangerous. The strangers had been right about one thing: others would come. The city's awakening had not gone unnoticed. And soon, word would spread like fire across the stars. Hunters, explorers, conquerors, they would all come searching for the same secret. And he, a simple farmer's son, was standing in the middle of it all, his fists tightened. Fear still gnawed at him, but he knew there was no turning back. If the world above was going to learn the truth, it had to be through him, not through strangers who saw the city only as a weapon. He would carry the bond, no matter the danger, and no matter the cost. The guardian rose slowly, wincing at its wound, but standing strong. It nudged him gently toward the glowing passage deeper into the city. The boy hesitated, his heart racing. But then he understood there was no safe path anymore, only forward, only deeper into the unknown. He placed his hand on the creature's glowing fur, steadying his breath. His choice had been made. Trust would guide him, not fear. Together, they stepped into the shadows of the lost world, the city's faint heartbeat echoing beneath their feet. And in that moment, he realized something powerful. The choice of trust was not just about him and the guardian. It was about whether humanity itself was ready to reclaim the bond it had once broken, and whether he was strong enough to make them believe it again. The city was awake. For the first time in centuries, its heartbeat echoed through every wall, every stone. Every glowing vein that pulsed beneath the ground. The boy could feel it inside his chest, matching his own heartbeat, steady and strong. The guardian walked beside him, its wounds glowing faintly as they healed slowly. Its eyes calm, yet watchful. They had chosen the path forward. But the path forward was not safe. The glowing passage stretched before them. Twisting like the inside of a living vein, each step lit the floor beneath his feet. Symbols burning to life only to fade again once he passed. The boy's hands trembled. His mind spinning with questions. What was this place? Why him? Why now? But deep inside, a certainty grew. He was walking toward something final, something that would change everything. At last, the tunnel opened into the largest chamber he had ever seen. The ceiling soared into darkness, lost beyond the reach of the glowing walls. In the center stood a massive structure, a sphere of stone and metal suspended in the air, spinning slowly, humming with quiet power. It looked alive, like a heart suspended above the earth, and beneath it, carved into the floor, was a circle large enough to hold 100 people. Covered in glowing runes, the boy stepped closer, the guardian at his side. As soon as his foot touched the circle, the sphere above shuddered and began to descend. The hum grew louder, shaking the chamber, making the air vibrate in his lungs. He raised his hands against the light. Squinting as the sphere opened, inside was no machine, no weapon. Inside was a projection of the stars. The chamber transformed, the walls vanishing into a black sky filled with countless suns, moons, and worlds. He gasped, spinning slowly as the universe spread before him, alive and endless. The guardian sat quietly, his glowing eyes reflecting the stars. Then a voice filled the chamber, calm and ancient. The same voice that had spoken through the statue before, but this time, it spoke clearly, directly into his language. You have reached the heart of the bond. Listen, child of the surface. Listen, guardian of the memory. The truth must be carried. The stars shifted, forming images. The boy watched in awe as the story unfolded before him. He saw Earth, small and fragile, spinning blue and green in the void. He saw ships of light traveling from it, carrying humans to distant stars. They were not alone. The humans met others, alien civilizations of every shape and size. And instead of war, there was welcome. Hands reached out across the stars, human and alien, forming bonds of trust together. They built cities that floated in the sky, towers that glowed brighter than suns. The boy's eyes stung as he realized the truth. Humanity had once been part of something greater. But then the stars darkened, ships burned, cities fell, fear spread faster than light. Some humans betrayed their allies. Some aliens turned against them. The dream shattered, replaced by fire. The boy flinched as he saw entire worlds vanish in explosions. And then, the last council of humans and aliens together, they placed the secret of their bond into this city, this guardian, and whispered the command, wait until trust returns. Wait until one pure of heart finds us again. The vision faded, leaving silence heavy in the chamber. The boy's knees gave way, and he sank to the glowing floor, shaking. His voice cracked as he whispered, We were never enemies. We were family. We forgot. The guardian pressed its head against his shoulder, through their bond. He felt not sadness, but pride. The creature had carried this truth for centuries. Waiting for this very moment, the voice spoke again. You, child, are the first to awaken this truth. You carry the bond, and through you, it may live again. But beware, the world above is blind. Strangers will come, they will fear, they will fight. The choice will always return, fear or trust. The boy clenched his fists, his heart heavy but resolute. I choose trust, he said firmly. Even if they don't believe me, even if I stand alone, it will not let this truth die again. The stars flickered, and for a moment, the boy swore he felt unseen eyes watching him, approving him. The sphere slowly closed. Returning to its silent spin above the chamber, the stars faded, and the walls of the cavern returned, glowing softly. Calm once more, the boy rose slowly, his legs still weak. He was no longer just the son of a farmer, or no longer just a curious child who followed a strange animal one morning. He was the bearer of a truth older than his world. The guardian stood beside him, glowing faintly, its bond with him unbreakable. But then, from the distant tunnels, he heard it again: footsteps, voices, weapons humming. The strangers were not gone after all. Others would follow them, stronger, hungrier, desperate for what the city held. His chest tightened, but he did not falter. He looked at the guardian, at the glowing walls. And then, at his own trembling hands. The truth was not safe in stone or machines. The truth was safe only in hearts, he whispered to himself, almost like a vow. I will carry it. I will protect it, even if the whole world turns against me. The guardian growled softly in agreement. Together, they turned from the chamber. Stepping back into the winding tunnels, the city's heartbeat followed them. Slow and steady, echoing with every step, the boy knew his life would never be simple. Again, he would face hunters, liars, enemies who wanted to twist the truth into a weapon. But he also knew something greater. He had seen the truth that changed everything. Humans and aliens were not destined to fight forever. They had once been family, and they could be again. And he, the boy who followed a strange creature one morning, would carry that hope into the world above, not as a soldier, not as a king, but as a bridge between what was lost and what could still be found.